All right, I don't know if we'll begin today or if it will be next week, but we have a paper test. Now, this is not a pass-fail test. This is a diagnostic test. Is that the proper word, or is that only to be used when something's wrong? I understand that the Acosta's car will tomorrow be undergoing diagnostic tests. So, but it's a test to help you determine what your spiritual gift is. Now, let me say something that I have noticed. As we grow spiritually, sometimes it's a little bit more complicated to see our gift, because we have become more attuned to doing other things. As I've said on several occasions, the fact that something is not your spiritual gift does not mean that you should never do something that would be applicable to that gift, but it means that our emphasis should be on our spiritual gifts, because that is where we are most effective, and that is the means by which we are the greatest blessing. Our spiritual gifts primarily bless the church, but they also bless the unsaved, especially certain ones, for example, the gift of evangelism. But it not only blesses the unsaved and brings them to the Lord, but it blesses the church because it adds to the church. And I think to some measure our testimony can be affected by our spiritual gift as well, because we are compelled to do certain things. Now, this morning I'd like to look at the gift of service. This gift, I believe, actually, as I was thinking about it, I may disbelieve. I don't know. Is that a good way to say it? I may change my mind. Okay, as I said to someone recently, I have changed my mind on things over the years. Now, those have been unimportant things. They've not been great doctrines of the faith. They have simply been, I see something and I was wrong, and I changed my mind. If you have not changed your mind in 10 or 15 years, you're probably wrong. Okay? So, but not on the big things, only on the smaller ones. Now, what is the gift of service? Now, the thing I'm kind of waffling on is it's normally given two names, or so it's thought in the Bible. One is helps, and one is minister. I tell you what, let's go ahead and look at the first one. Is found in Romans chapter 12. Romans 12 and verse 7. Romans 12 and verse 7, it says, let's back up, and verse 4 says, "For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office." I think a good way of saying office there is function. Our bodies are very, very, very complex. I was watching a YouTube video last night, and it was talking about the liver. Now, most of us don't give too much regard to our liver, but our liver is giving a great deal of regard to us. So, and your liver, is it right here or is it right here? It's on this side, isn't it?
Yes.
It's about right here, weighs about 3 pounds. And here's the cool thing, it performs over 500 different functions. Do what? And that's just incredible, okay? Your liver and your kidneys are not something that, really, if we could say they're not really cool, but you'll die real soon if they break down, okay? They are your body's filters. You may have heard somebody say that someone has renal failure. Well, that means if they don't get it straightened out within a reasonably short period of time, that person is going to die, because all the toxins that organ handles will build up in the body, and it will eventually shut down other systems. Now, you only have one system in your body that is not that you have absolutely positively have to have. That's your reproductive system. Now, we want to have that reproductive system so we can have children and so on like that. But if that's not working, you're okay. Okay, you may not be happy, but you're okay. But if you got 3 systems other than those that aren't working, you better get your affairs in order. So the body's complex. But I think probably Paul is thinking here of those parts of the body that can be seen. Those parts of the body that we're very much aware of, because the people in the ancient world didn't know a whole lot about physiology. All right. So he says here, for we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office. Different parts of your body have a function, and that function is important. And if it's not being done, then things aren't going to work. But there are, if we talk about the parts that we can see, they are doing things what? Just for themselves? No, for the entire body. And therein lies the idea of the spiritual gifts. Verse 5, so we, being many, are one body in Christ, and everyone members one of another. This one body with different parts that do different things. Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us, whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the portion of faith, or ministry, let us wait on our ministering, or he that teacheth on teaching, and so on. All right. The word here, the Greek word here for ministering, it basically applies to waiting on tables. Now, I think we make a big mistake if we give a narrow understanding to wait on tables. All right. It's like when Jesus said to Peter, feed my sheep. Well, feed my sheep means shepherd my sheep. All right. Wait on tables has the idea of serving. Now we can all, and we all ought to serve. Wait on tables. But there are some people that God has, and folks, I was talking to someone several months ago, and they said, the customer service in England is awful. And the reason is everybody over there thinks to serve is to diminish yourself. And so nobody wants to serve. The gift of service is a humble gift, but oh, how great a gift it is. Now, we're going to come back and look at an ancillary idea as it relates to this in just a moment. Okay, the other verse is found is 1 Corinthians chapter 12, 1 Corinthians 12 and verse 28. And here Paul is dealing with the idea that we only get the gift that God gives to us, or the gifts. He says in verse 27, now we are the body of Christ, and members in particular, body parts, okay, of the body, parts of the body. And God hath set some in the church, first apostles, secondarily prophets, thirdly teachers. Now this is not a pecking order. This is just the way he's taught. After that, miracles, then gifts of healings, helps, governments, diversities of tongues. And then he asks the question. This is this rhetorical question to which the proper biblical answer in every case is a big no. Are all apostles? No. Are all prophets? No. Are all teachers? No. Are all workers of a miracle? of miracles? No. Have all the gifts of healing? No. Do all speak with tongues? No. Do all interpret? But going back up to 28, he mentions the gift of helps. Helps. So, he's talking here about those people who help. Now, here's something that is very important. What does it mean to help? How is it that we help? Well, I believe that this means that we bring our talents and our skills to help. In other words, let me give you an example. I remember years ago thinking, they have women's missionary societies. I said, why don't they have a men's missionary thing? And I was saying, I didn't do anything. I just thought about it. And then the church that my mother attended, the church that my family attended from the time I was about 30, I was 13, just almost 14. I think we started going there in about February, and my birthday's when I was 13, and my birthday's in May. So we went there for many years. Well, they started something called Men for Missions. And among the things they did is they did manly things. They did men's stuff, all right? Now, the ladies' missionary societies, what did they do? They did lady things, which is perfectly fine because that's what you do, all right? Now, what were the things they did? Well, one of the things they did was construction. And they were a blessing to missionaries all over the world. When my dad passed away, my mother started going on some of these. She went to Japan, she went to Haiti, she went to Alaska. When Joel was like about, I don't know, 15? 16, she took him to with her on a mission trip to Alaska, and they were working on a church, and Joel was very good with his hands even at 15. All right, David Horton had taught him a great deal, and they loved him up there because he didn't clock out after supper like most of them did. Okay, he still had plenty of energy, but. And our own church has been blessed by groups that came up here. We did a huge project on what's now our parking lot, and a group helped us. There's some concrete out there. You can tell it because it's not poured that well, okay? It got hot and we didn't get to finish it like I would have liked, but it's way better than what was there. We had a group that came here, two men that came here, and they refinished the floors in there. And I mean, these guys are expert. They were experts. They refinished gyms for colleges. Their gym floors were on national television. I mean, these guys were good. We had a small group that came up one time and did some painting for us. We had another group. There are 1,050 window panes that you can see in this building, and that doesn't even count the windows in the auditorium, the stained glass ones. And what happens with these windows is the glazing compound deteriorates. It only lasts so many years. First it's soft and pliable, then it gets hard, and then it cracks, and then it breaks, and it falls off. And so you have to do those things one at a time, and then you have to scrape it off, you have to prime it, you have to put the glazing compound. We used 50-year caulking instead because I'm lazy, I don't want to do it again, and it's easier to use, and you don't have to have as much skill. And then you paint it. And you paint the frames, and you caulk around the frames, and it's very labor intensive. Not much money. I think we were on our 3rd gallon of paint when we finished. It's practically all labor with quite a lot of caulking. We had a group come up and help us do it one time. So, painted the fence. A lot of people painted the fence. That's low skill, all right? But they brought their skills. Now, sometimes a person doesn't have skills, but he has legs and arms and eyes, and he can do stuff. Can sweep and do all kinds of things. You see, folks, we are not responsible for what we do not have. God holds us responsible for what we are able to do. Some people can do certain things. There have been many times mechanics that have said to the pastor, just bring your car over, I'll fix it. There have been all kinds of people that have used their skills to be a blessing. Now, you don't have to have the gift of service, the gift of helps in order to do that. But these people, as we said, and I stand by the word that I use. Is it miraculous? No. But it is an unusual, they have an unusual desire to do these things. And God has given them a special ability in that, according to that particular spiritual gift. It's not miraculous, but it's unusual. Now, if you could say of the sign gifts, oh yeah, well, okay, those are miraculous. I don't believe that they exist today, but when they did exist, they were miraculous. But today, these gifts are unusual. And so these people, in every one of our gifts, there is a measure of insight. Is that the right way to spell it, or is it S-I-T-E?
No, that's right.
Okay, all right. They see things others don't see. They see things others don't see. We can say that in some cases, they feel things that others don't feel. In other words, they share the emotions of the other person. This is important for all of us, but like I said, that spiritual gift is an unusual measure of these things. And then they are willing and or able to do things. And it's easy. It's easy. They are compelled to do these things. They can hardly help themselves. They just want to do it. And what might be to one person drudgery and difficulty is to this person who has a particular spiritual gift, it's just, they get joy out of it. Remember what I said in the very beginning. One of the ways we know what our spiritual gift is that we're compelled to do it, that we receive joy and fulfillment from it. All right? It's what gives us, we're doing the thing that we're meant to do. And when I say meant, I mean meant according to the spiritual gift that God gives to us. All right. Tell you what, let's do. Now, I have adapted, this thing's called a Wagner Modified Hotz Questionnaire. I was going to Google what a Hotz is. I think a Hotz Questionnaire is a particular thing, and the Wagner is the one who took the conceptual idea of the questionnaire and modified it. Well, now this is a Christopher modified, Wagner modified. This is a Christopher modification of a Wagner modified Holt's questionnaire. So, all right. Now, it is no doubt far from perfect. Now, you're gonna need a pen, and you need to put your name or your initials, because you're gonna